Joining me to talk about what the private sector can do at this time is the Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muda Yusuf. Mr. Yusuf, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
So let's start with the President's call to think outside of the box if we're to come out of this recession. What, for you, is your out-of-the-box suggestion?
Well, talking about out-of-the-box suggestion, first, it seems that even the President and the administration is also thinking outside the box, because we are beginning to see a change in mindset, particularly with regard to the perception or understanding of the role of the private sector in moving this economy forward. We are beginning to see a better appreciation of the need to bring the private sector on board. We are beginning to see a better communication between the government, the economic team, and the private sector. And that's a very good development, as against what we started out with. So that is one. The out-of-the-box suggestion, well, not exactly out of the box, because these are some of the things that we have been talking about all along. It's about strengthening engagement. Now, the discussion, the retreat that has taken place is about the ministers, the cabinet team meeting with consultants. That is good. I mean, that is good at least to look at the macro issues. But in order to deepen the process, it is good to also have a very good empirical insight into what is happening in the economy. And that you can only get through engagement with practitioners in the economy. So the macro issues are good, at least that affects everybody. They are cross-cutting issues. But then there are also sector-specific issues, which has to be taken perhaps at the ministerial level or even at the level of the economic team. Because from sector to sector, there are issues that are specific to those sectors. And if you are talking about, taking the economy out of recession, one big way to do that is to stimulate investment. And you need the private sector to bring the investment to the table. Of course, the public sector has a role. Of course, there's also public investment in infrastructure and all of that, which through the fiscal policy framework and the fiscal policy apparatus like the budget, that will have some impact. But the bigger impact will come from private sector investment. And this investment could be either domestic or foreign.
But the only way you can have private investors, coming in to make any form of investment if they feel that the policies are right and the environment is conducive enough to do business. And the President actually talked about ease of doing business, that, they're going to start conversations and look at ways of how to make doing business easy for Nigerians and for private investors as well. What do you make of that?
No, that is great, because I'm aware that this presidential committee on ease of doing business, which is being chaired by the Vice President, that's a very good development. And of course, in order to also get value from that, there has to be very strong private sector interface, because it is the private sector players that can give a very good insight into what the critical bottlenecks are in doing business, ranging from the ports and all of that, the ports, the energy issues, and so on, the financing issues, and so on and so forth. And even beyond that, we need to also look at issues of policy, because policies you can easily deploy. And there are some low-hanging issues around policy that, even some of them are even administrative, that could actually have a lot of impact. Now, we could have a lot of impact through fiscal policy, particularly the budget, the way we accelerate the budget spending and all of that. We have been talking about stimulus. You need to accelerate the process of budget implementation to have a value, to have an impact on the current state of the economy. You also need to look at the monetary policy, because if you are talking about investment, you need funds, particularly from the domestic investor perspective. At a time like this, we should be looking at how we can relax all these tight monetary policy conditions. We just talk about the CRR at 22%, you have the MPR so high, you have the liquidity ratio. All these things are making the investment environment very difficult in terms of funding. And to even make matters worse, government is borrowing at 18%. If government is borrowing at 18%, which is risk-free, for an investor, that means you have to pay a premium on that. So that is why you have a situation where investors are now borrowing at 20, 22, 25, 30%, depending on the profile of your business. That is not in tune with the desire to stimulate the economy, with the desire to also, stimulate investment domestically. Then in terms of foreign investments, we need to look again at our foreign exchange policy. It's very key. If you don't have reasonable liquidity in the foreign exchange market, it will be very difficult to attract foreign investors, be it portfolio investors or foreign direct investors. It is very critical because the policy as we have it now is also not incentivizing foreign investment enough. Because you have a situation where if you are bringing in export proceeds, for instance, if you are bringing in capital importation, if you are bringing in remittances, the rule is that you still have to route it through the banks at the interbank rate. And the moment you are having the kind of disparity you are having, you begin to have issues. The interbank rate exchange is about 310, 305, and so on. The parallel market rate is over 400. You have this kind of disparity and you continue to insist that all inflows has to be channeled at the interbank rate. You continue to discourage investments.
But Mr. Yusuf,
yes,
at this time when we're trying to, get exit recession, we're looking at all the low-hanging fruits,
yes,
the ones we can quickly hold on to. Which school of thought do you support? The school of thought that says we should stimulate the domestic economy as much as possible and let the domestic economy try to move us out of recession, or make the environment more conducive for the foreign portfolio and foreign direct investors than domestic investors? Which school of thought do you support?
You see, they are not mutually exclusive. If they are talking of taking the economy out of recession, you need capital. You need domestic capital, you need foreign capital. So you need the two, and the two can come together. We can deal with the two simultaneously. A foreign direct investor needs the kind of conducive environment that a domestic investor needs. We're talking now about high energy costs. If you want FDI, you have to deal with the issue of energy. If you want to stimulate domestic investment, especially in the real economy, you need to do something about energy. A lot of factories now are complaining about high cost of gas. They are complaining about even acute shortage of gas. Some of them now have to resort to the use of LPFO, which is also very expensive, which is also imported because the refineries are not working. Some of them are now relying on diesel. Diesel is over 200 naira per liter. So these issues affect both the domestic and foreign investment. So they are not mutually exclusive. We need to mobilize capital as much as possible and as quickly as possible from domestic sources and from foreign sources. So it is not either or. It has to be together.
Now, for the real sector,
Yeah.
because that's one sector that creates the most jobs very quickly, because you have small businesses that need between just 10 to 15 or even just 20 people. What needs to be done to boost their performance at this time?
Well, part of the things I've mentioned. First, we need to deal with the issue of cost of fund. You can't do very serious real sector investment at an interest rate of 25%. You can't do any serious business in real estate at 25%. You can't do serious business in construction at 25%. The best you can do is maybe trading. And that is not the best, that is not what we need at this time. So we need to deal with our interest rate policy. We also need to look at our trade policy. Because with the sharp depreciation in the exchange rate, the base rate for the computation of import duty has increased by 100%. So if you still maintain the import duty as it is, that means in nominal terms, import duty payment has increased by also 100%. And these are some of the things that are causing the high costs that we are witnessing in the economy. You just read out the inflation figures. And the man on the street, one of the biggest headaches that the man on the street had now is high cost of consumables, goods and services. And one key way to drive this cost is to also look at the trade policy and see whether you can moderate the import duty regime. That may not necessarily even reduce revenue, because the lower the duty sometimes, the more revenue you get.
But doesn't that
Because
also mean that you're allowing some products that not necessarily supposed to come into the market, those ones that are banned from entering?
No. We have the fiscal policy issues to deal with that.
Okay.
There are some very critical components that are also caught up in this high cost of imports. So we need to look at it, and we need to discriminate between what is desirable and what is not. But generally, the cost environment is unbearable. And one low-hanging fruit that you can quickly deal with is to look at the import duty regime and begin to scale them down. And even now, the customs, the complaints we are even getting now from importers is that the customs charge you import duty based on the exchange rate at the time your product is landing, as against the exchange rate on which you used to open the letter of credit that is on your Form M. That is another major complaint.
So as the conversations continue and as we build up, conversation and engagement between the government and stakeholders in the private sector, organized private sector as well, there's been a lot of projections about the timeline to exit the recession. Some say 12 months, some say 12 to 18 months. For you, how long do you think?
You see, in terms of timeline, it's a function of what we do. If we do the right things, this timeline you mentioned may be realistic. But if you don't do the right things at the right time, then these timelines will not be realistic.
Okay.
So it's a question of what we do and the time and when we do it. That is what.
Muda Yusuf, thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.